Oh, lordy. All right, are we live? It looks like we're live. Desktop audio is muted. Mic aux. Okay, looks good. Figured I'd have this like kind of figured out by now. Let me just make sure audio sounds okay. Yeah, I think it sounds pretty good. Sorry if I sound a little nasally. I am recovering from being sick this past week, and that's been a fun time, but it also hasn't been a fun time. Last thing I need to do, share out some links, and then we'll be good to get started. So let me do that really quick, and then we'll get into some stuff. Okay. All right. Live, good to go. Let me close out of a couple of these applications. Give my streaming computer the ability to actually focus on streaming. I will occasionally have to clear my throat. Again, kind of recovering from some sickness. I will try to mute my mic whenever I do that because I know that that's not a fun experience to listen to someone cough into your ear. So yeah, I will try to do that. I've also got a beverage to help keep my throat from getting too dry. So, mm, I forgot one last thing that is kind of important to do. So, give me 1 second while I pop out a private window, move this up here, and then pull up YouTube. youtube.com/code with Cypher. Let's see what he's up to. And then I specifically want to pull up his video. And then I specifically want to pop out the chat. So chat's been popped out. Change this from top chat to live chat so I see everything. Make it nice and big. And if anyone's here and would like to send a chat message just to make sure that I have everything configured the way that I should have it configured, please feel free. Okay, cool. So yeah, really quick, we're gonna set up Cider. I am an Apple Music user. My household is an Apple Music household for the moment. So I am instead of managing my music on my phone that I listen to during our live stream sessions, I'd like to do it on my computer. So I'm in the process of setting up Cider. This will take 2 minutes maybe at this point. If you're unfamiliar with Cider, it is an Apple Music client that is cross-platform. It's written in Vue.js, which is kind of cool. So American English, visual settings, color scheme, sure, match the system. Oh, it's playing some fancy music. I should probably connect my actual headphones. I'm curious if that's coming through on the stream. It shouldn't, but um, there's a chance that it is, I suppose. No device is paired, really? What's the... Okay, turn that down right quick. Apple Music, it's not coming through. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we do. We use Apple Music in our household. My wife is she's always been an Apple user, so I use an iPhone. It was good. Um, It was good enough. The music quality is good. I think my main gripe with Apple Music is I feel like this is not something I should be showing all the things that we could pair with, but let's try this. Okay, so yeah, we use Apple Music. It's fine. I think I'd personally rather switch to Spotify or maybe even YouTube Music. But okay, cool. It's coming through my headphones now. Perfect. Um, but yeah, I've been an Apple user for a long time. I've Mac since 2013 until last year. So yeah, Discord rich presence. That's cool. Audio normalization. We'll leave it off for now. Sure. Interesting. Yep. Sign in with Apple. Hey, Pigeon. Welcome to another stream. Perfect. That's what I wanted to see. I didn't want to have to type in a password, so I'm hoping that I can just authenticate via the old pass key. If it starts. Uh I was hoping that would work, but it doesn't look like it is going to work. So, um I think the chat in the stream is sorry. Yeah, I need to fix this. I have a really hacked setup where I've got a couple different things. I've got a little screen up here by my camera, and I've got a live chat in a private Firefox instance up there, which the reason it's private is because I have another pop out that is injected into OBS via a browser source. And unfortunately, if I don't keep focus on that window, it stops updating the chat in OBS. So, um, yeah, it's a mess. I need to figure out a better solution and probably spend some time trying to figure out a better way to optimize my streaming setup. Been doing this long enough that I really have no excuse to not have something in place to make things a little easier. I don't. I'm so curious why this is not working. I am not entirely sure, to be honest. I thought we would hang out and just work on some stuff. So I've got like a backlog of things that I want to do, and unless people are pushing one way or the other, I figure we'll just kind of knock out some stuff in that backlog. So some of it includes, oh my gosh, what does it include? Working on my courses site. Um, Really quick, I'm gonna take the video capture device, blank it out so I can type in my password and be secure about it. Once I remember where my password is in 1Password or an alternative password manager, I feel like maybe a smart thing to do would not be to tell people what password manager you use. Yeah, much easier. Okay, what a pain, man. To be honest, though, I kind of like the lo-fi that Cider is just playing. Problem connecting. Awesome. Uh, I have to sign in, right? Oh, okay, it worked. Yeah, this is my stuff. Cool. Okay, this is what I want to listen to. I just really want to listen to Linkin Park today, so we're gonna listen to some Linkin Park, or I'm gonna listen to some Linkin Park. I won't play music through the stream because copyrights and all sorts of other fun stuff. But um, gotta tell you, I'm so far not super impressed with Cider. If I hit play, does it just start playing? It does. All right, good enough for me. Can let this churn on its own in the background. Uh, you are working right now on a WASM or WASM time library, like for a newish programming language. You've been sewn to WASM recently. Um, yeah. Sorry, I'm also a little confused by the. It's Hunter 2, isn't it? I'm not sure what that is. Um, yeah, WASM's been fascinating. I've actually, this sounds really weird, but I've been writing some WAT files by hand just to kind of practice getting an understanding on how they fit into the larger picture. And it's kind of fun. They're like a nice little Lisp. So it's been enjoyable to just hack on some WAT files and do some WASM. I'm excited for 3.0 and just the fact that um, garbage collection is going to enable a lot more languages to do some stuff in WASM. Oh, you've also been working with WAT files by hand. Nice. Uh, Tiny little spoiler. So many people have asked. So I've written an Odin program at this point, and I don't want to show too much because I'm saving that for a video. But one of the things that I think is really neat is it just looks like Go for the most part. There's some stuff that doesn't look like Go, but yeah, I it was a breeze to write given the fact that I've been writing Go for like 6 or 7 years now. And I know all the Odin people will be very, very happy to hear that. But that's not what we're working on today. We are instead going to work on courses. Do I not have courses? I don't have courses. Uh, oh, what? Username. Oh, sure. I don't remember the syntax off the top of my head. Hunter 2 is an old IRC meme from 20 years ago. I was never much of an IRC person. It's kind of a shame to be honest because I feel like they're not as well. I'm almost positive IRC is not as commonly used anymore. But I I feel like it would be really valuable, and just having a chat forum like that seems really nice. Don't want those. I instead want, what am I clicking on? Repositories. Is this not repositories? This is okay. Weird. My repositories. Courses. Perfect. Yeah. I just should memorize this. I don't know why it's so hard for me to memorize. All right, let's try this again. Okay, cool. Courses. Just realized. Oh, no, the chat is staying up to date. Okay, cool. So this courses project is a Svelte kit project. Um, that's kind of it, to be honest. So if we look at the package just Psalm, um, Svelte kit, TypeScript, Tailwind, very dated Tailwind at this point. Um, Mongo adapter for auth.js, Svelte kit adapter for auth.js. That's it. Oh, and MongoDB, I guess too. Really lightweight, but a fun little project. And if you haven't seen it yet, this is courses.bradseipert.com, which looks like this. So yeah, I kind of want to work on this today. In particular, the stuff I want to work on. Well, that looks like crap. Maybe maybe we start there. Okay. This is provided by auth, isn't it? I don't know how I update that because this is provided by the auth package. So that's something I should figure out. But what I actually want to work on today is this admin dashboard. So I've got some stuff here. Honestly, most of the issues that I have are CSS related type stuff. So it might not be the most interesting to work on, but stuff that I kind of need to do at some point. Um, yo, I'm at work and decided to update my NeoVim, and for some reason everything broke. I am sorry to hear that. I've not had that issue, but I also don't have a heavily modified NeoVim config. I do have this fear every time I update Arch that I am going to run into a broken OS. But so far, I updated this morning and I have not ran into that problem. So, yeah, I feel for you, mostly out of fear of what could be, but yeah, not too bad. Okay, so yeah, these cards look fine. This is like why this is not good. So let's fix this. And to be completely transparent, this admin panel was AI generated about a year ago at this point, half a year ago, somewhere around there. The reason I mentioned that is because two things. One, I was curious at the time how good AI was going to be, and this is fine. Like this is a problem, right? But like it got me half the way there. So being able to go in and kind of fix this up seems like a good next step. But also like that's why that's why it looks this way. I never would have shipped it myself if it looked like this and wasn't full width and normal. So yeah, I figure we can just jump into that. Um, it's asking for a specific C compiler, Windows. I'm more shocked you're using Windows or NeoVim with Windows than anything. But you said you're at work, so maybe work forces you to use Windows. I don't know. Development on Windows seems like an awful experience in my opinion. I could be wrong. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm sure Scott Hanselman, if I ever get your attention, I'm sure you will inform me that I am wrong and show me how great Windows can be. Okay, random question. This is with full. There's a lot actually constraining this. Looks good, looks good. Max width small. Why? Bada bing. Okay, so that's what we need to fix. Search grep max width small. Right? What did I just delete? Max with small. Where's this coming from? It's not showing up in grep. That's a little concerning. Is this from a card, maybe? Development on Windows is fine until you work with network paths. Amen. I did like a long time ago when I first started doing software development. I worked on a Windows machine for some Java stuff, and very quickly realized that it was not the future I wanted to pursue. It's a part of your DNA, so it's hard for you to leave it. However, I have Kubuntu. Is that the correct pronunciation, or is it Kubuntu? Either way, it's installed and running on my everyday laptop, and you love it. That's great. Um, I wish more people would explore different operating systems. I know that's a big ask for a lot of people because a lot of people don't really care about the operating system. It's just like the operating system is the layer that allows them to do the things they want to do, like surf the internet or check email or things that, most lay people end up doing. But I do think that if people had a more open mind about operating systems and willingness to kind of relearn some of that stuff, they might find that a different operating system meets their needs better or their finances better or all sorts of different stuff. A small gripe that I wish I had a little bit more insight into with SvelteKit, I feel like it's a little harder. Svelte Inspector Firefox. Maybe yeah, okay, perfect. Data for all websites, developer tools, browser tabs. I'm going to trust this guy. Honestly, you've been on Linux long enough and can 100% say that the barrier to Linux is the UI UX. It's still stuck in 1998. And the installation process, too. I honestly like gnome. Gnome's great. Gonna go get food. Eat some for me, pigeon. I'm getting hungry, so hopefully you can eat for both of us. But yeah, I think the issue with Linux is totally the UI. You're right. I think GNOME is like it's a pretty good spot. Cosmic also has a pretty good UI from what I've seen. So there are some options, but I do think installation is also a big part of the issue as well. Click here. I'm not building with dev mode. Okay. Um, I need to grab some environment variables. So bear with me for a minute. I'm going to blank out the video capture as well while I sign into a hosting platform and grab environment variables for courses.bradcypher.com. Yeah, sorry. I should have planned a little better and then got all this stuff ahead of time, but uh, a barrier to gnome is wondering whether or not to pronounce the G. Yeah, that's that's so true. Um, give me 1 second, and then I'll pull up something that a friend sent me the other day that I think is really relevant with regards to that. Variables. Do I need all of these? Lord have mercy. Don't need stripe. Don't need origin. I do need this. Okay. Why did what? And I need this one. Now would actually be a good time to mention this. If you know of any great tools, I feel like there's been a lot in terms of environment management that have come out over the past couple of years. If you know of any great tools, I would love it if you let me know because this is probably not the way that I should be handling environment variables in this case. And also, it looks like one of them didn't register. So let's try this again. Much better. Yep. Okay, cool. They're all registered. Let me clear that and make sure that we don't end up accidentally showing those. Okay, cool. npm run dev. Great, up and running. Okay, so the gnome thing, MIT, is it pronounced gnome or gnome? I wonder if I type that if it'll show up. Yeah, okay, so oh wow, sorry, missed a lot of comments while I was trying to get environment variables set up. So okay, how do you pronounce GNOME? I'm going to call it GNOME, even though it stands for the GNU Network Object Model Environment. It also stands does multiple things. GNU's not Unix. Oh, sorry, GNU stands for GNU's not Unix, and has always been pronounced GNU instead of GNU since GNU is Gnome's first name. Gnome is officially pronounced Gnome. I hate this. I get it. I hate it. However, many people pronounce Gnome as just Gnome, like those short people from Legends. And I'd like to think that a short person from Legend is what is managing my desktop environment for me, bringing the windows in and all of that fun stuff. So nobody will hurt you if you found this pronunciation easier. So I'm going to call it Gnome, but it is Gnome. Or it is intended to be GNOME, but they're open to you calling it whatever. It does seem like a case of you can split this hair if you want, but there are probably bigger problems to bike shed over. And I like that they appreciate that. Like they're like you can call it whatever you want. It's a good environment. People use it. It's established. Okay, so like if you load up LibreOffice, it's a great piece of software, but the UI UX is just blah, complete turn off. And normal people, that's all they care. Is LibreOffice built with Qt? I feel like the Qt framework looks really ugly. I'm curious about that. So LibreOffice Qt, GTK and Qt. Make this a little bigger so I'm not the only one who can read it. Includes support for GTK and Qt theme integration. I I would assume that if it has support for Qt theme integration, it probably is built on Qt. Is that fair to say? But yeah, Qt looks like garbage, um, in my opinion, and I think that's part of the problem. I think that the open source Unix community is building a lot of really interesting things, but a lot of them aren't maybe UI experts or people who are digging deep into that. Um, yeah, I don't know. It could be better, but also it's in an interesting spot too, where like modern tooling would suggest that you just use Electron and React and build something, and like I would rather have an ugly Qt based document editing tool than something massive and bloated wrapped in Electron. And yeah, but you're right. A lot of people don't think about that, and a lot of people care more about the UI and UX. They want it to look pretty and easy, and don't get me wrong, there's benefit to it being easy and accessible, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, LibreOffice. I feel like the coding name GNOME should pronounce the G so you can tell the difference. That's fair. Um, I'm really happy you gave Gleam a try. It is one of my favorite languages together with Zig. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm having a really hard time not writing Gleam. I have been enjoying that language immensely. I also, like, I've always liked meta languages. I am a big fan of F sharp. Uh, Let me humbly flex my own content because why not? But more so to convey a point than anything else, really. If you guys haven't seen this, this is YouTube Studio. This is the admin interface for YouTube for publishers. And we really gonna do this? Okay. Oh, don't show that. Come on. Um, I need to put one password in like streaming mode or something. But yeah, this is the admin interface for YouTube. So without going too much into all sorts of cool stuff, except this number. So happy that this is going up. Um, YouTube F sharp. So I have this video, F sharp is a daily driver. I have this really random video called What is F sharp when I was still trying to figure out how to do YouTube that has way more views than I ever thought it would have. I like F sharp a lot, but I also want to talk about this sleeper language that I also really like a lot called OCaml. Um, this one's unlisted because there was an editing issue, so I had to take this down and then repost it because I ended up accidentally cutting out like 2 minutes of footage right in the middle of the video, and yeah, it was bad. Bad editing on my part, but it's same video right here. But the main idea here is OCaml is also a language that I really like as well. So the problem, F sharp feels almost like a dead language to me in terms of community. It seems like F sharp is there to prototype really cool and interesting ideas, and then C sharp cannibalizes them. And on top of that, OCaml is a fantastic language, but the tooling around OCaml is such a mess. It drives me crazy. However, we have Dune, which is becoming more and more popular, and this is a composable build system for OCaml. And it's nice. It reminds me of Boot from Clojure, and yeah, this seems like this takes some of the frustration of OCaml's tooling and solves it, which seems really nice. OPAM is the OCaml package manager. Is that what that stands for? This is essentially you end up using OPAM to like manage your OCaml versions and packages and all sorts of stuff. And it's I'm sure it was a really great tool when it was introduced, But the fact of the matter is that like we've had advancements in tooling, and Dune feels so much nicer than OPAM. Man, sorry, I am falling behind on the chat. Let me catch up on that really quick. Okay. Well, Windows 11 is using Chrome for their File Explorer, and I've just are they actually using Chrome for their File Explorer? Oh, that is such a bummer. Um, Man, I'm so curious if this is going to be a recurring theme that we see more and more of, where the web has gotten so abstract with making beautiful applications that more and more people just bundle Electron into their OS, into their application, just because it's easier to build a UI in Electron. I hope that's not the case. I know Flutter is not like the end all perfect solution there as well, but I think Flutter would be a better option than bundling Electron. Back on Gleam, it's fun to write, and the syntax is really, really simple. It is so simple. There's like what 18 keywords in Gleam, I think, and no if else, which kind of threw me for a loop. Nice that I haven't decreased the size of this since the last time I was on here, but docs. Language tour. I wish they had like a really nice like the language tour is great, don't get me wrong, but I do wish they had just like a big list of everything you would need. Um but also maybe they don't need it because really the only reason I would want that is to point to specific things for you all right now. But the language tour is really excellent in learning the language and getting through it, and you could get through this in a couple hours probably with any development experience whatsoever. Fun to write, syntax is really simple. Agree. Also, their community is really welcoming. Yeah, a couple things about Gleam. I put out my Gleam first impressions video, and then Louis popped in the comments and just said thank you, which was a total shocker. Um, so I ended up replying to him, and then I joined the Gleam Discord, and someone shared my first impressions video there, and people were talking about it, and everyone was just really polite, which is really nice. I got curious, I guess, and did some more scouting, and it looks like the community just as a whole is very friendly. It's very similar to the type of community that I'm hoping that we continue to build with the little Code with Cypher Discord that we have as well. Um, yeah, it makes functional programming simple. Yeah, I totally agree. Um, Gleam is great. It's probably the reason YouTube brought me here. Oh, really? I'm glad you're here. OCaml seems pretty cool. Didn't know that about Chrome. Sounds weird. I remember seeing a presentation about the language that showed the current used keywords. Yeah, maybe that's what I'm thinking of too. I watched some of the talks that they had at I don't remember the name of the conference, but I'm just going to call it BeamConf because it was mostly Erlang and Elixir, but they had some Gleam talks there as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. I teach some intro classes, and it sucks that the two things I want, good visual output and good error messages, seem to not go together. JS is the quickest way to see stuff on the screen, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, when I first started programming, I was writing Java, and then I moved to PHP, and one of the things I really liked about PHP is I could write half-baked code and then run it to the point where it failed. And since I was building things for a web server on a browser, I could see the output. Like it would, write some of the HTML out, and then I could see exactly where it crashed, and I could visually identify where those issues are and then fix those and continue. And JS is more or less the same way in that sense, at least for building on the web. There's definitely a benefit to dynamically typed languages in that case, where conversely, like if I have an issue with Rust, I have to barter back and forth with Rust to get to the point where I can even run my program to let alone see how it performs. Found the slide. There are currently 15 keywords. Yeah, small language. Started writing Gleam because Zig didn't have good async support. That's so funny you mentioned that. That's kind of the one of two reasons. Again, I really like meta languages. I think that they're fantastic. Three reasons, I guess. I also have always liked the Beam. That was weird. Have always liked the Beam. I thought it was really interesting tech and had worked in Elixir previously at another company. grew to really appreciate the Beam. Didn't want to write Erlang. I was okay writing Elixir, but it wasn't my favorite language either. So when we had a statically typed meta language on the Beam, I was really excited about that. But also, I've really been waiting for Zig 016 to do anything crazy with Zig because I really want to see how the async stuff lands. Um, so yeah, kind of in the same boat. My first impressions videos started the same way, or for the same reason rather. I just kind of got tired of waiting for Zig 015, 5173, right? And while I was waiting, I was like, what other content can I do? And I've got a couple more Zig things in mind, but to be honest, I'm really waiting for um uh pourquoi? What did what interesting. Sorry, it's been a long time since I've worked on this project, so I am trying to remember exactly how everything fits together. Yeah, you're also still waiting for the new IO. Yeah, same here. I'm also like I'm a little hesitant because it I have a hunch that the new IO is going to be a massive catalyst for Zig adoption. And I specifically say catalyst or a not necessarily a multiplier. Yeah, catalyst is probably the best term. I think Zig adoption is either going to shoot way down or it's going to go way up depending on 016. Um, so I'm kind of curious to see how that shakes out and really what implementation we end up landing with. I did play around with one of the dev builds 2 weeks ago, I guess, and it seems fine. I'm excited for Juicy Main. That's nice, but yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it turns out. Yeah, Juicy Main too. I that's nice. I do think that that is a really good improvement. Uh, okay, lib. What are we working with? DB courses. Not very helpful. Source lib services Mongo Stripe. Course account, course service. Where's the auth stuff? Hooks? Hooks? GitHub client ID, GitHub. Oh, Lord, I need different client IDs and secrets for dev. I'm pretty sure that's what I need. All right, let's hop over here. I can smell my tea. Where's the stuff at? Settings, developer settings, OAuth apps. You gotta be very, very careful. Don't want to accidentally expose something that I shouldn't expose. Interesting. Do I have? Okay, there's no env file here. Env static private. So those are being pulled. V config? No. Interesting. Oh, hang on. Okay. I'm very hesitant to open this Docker file because this is a private repo and it wouldn't surprise me if I have very bad security hygiene. So give me 1 second. I'm gonna blink out the screen really quick and just double check that. Total shocker. I actually have pretty good security hygiene in this file. Um, so it is not in there. Svelte config. I'm okay. Give me 1 second. We're gonna find these EMV. Okay, I thankfully don't think I have them listed in here at all, which does bring up a really interesting predicament, which is that I don't have the secret for this uh, on hand. So we're just going to generate a new client secret for local development. I do need to blink this out. Just let Clawbot agent take care of it, bro. No, I'm good. I'm good. The security loopholes will be through the freaking roof. So I'm good. My I don't know how to really elaborate on my feelings for AI tooling. I like the idea of Claudebot or Moltbot or Claude Core or whatever it's called now. I don't even know what it's called at this point. I do like the idea of it, but I do think that there's also an issue with security regarding the tooling, and I think people are being very, very silly with the lack of security. npm run dev. Okay, this should give us the tokens we need, and yeah, let's try this again. So we're over here. I'll have to delete that token once we're finished as well. Okay, much better. Cool. Yeah, the only real way to express the issue is through jokes because it's so silly already. I mean, I like the idea, right? Like that's what I would like an AI tool to do is to be able to assist me with basic things like helping go through my emails. So I don't have to worry about that stuff, or helping with making sure I don't forget calendar events and things of that nature. But like we already have some tools for that that don't use AI that work fairly well, or maybe they do use some use AI. I guess like Gmail trying to surface important things. Uh, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm hopeful. Like I like the idea of the project. I'm hopeful to see how it shakes things up because personalized AI tooling with a personalized model running locally seems like the future that I would like to see. But I don't know. We'll see. That's cool. What software are you using? Software for what? I'm sorry, I'm not sure. What have we looked at? This is Ghosty, uh, Vim, Firefox. I'm not sure what software you're asking about specifically. And then the project is Svelte or Svelte Kit. Okay, we are signed in finally. So let's hop over to. uh, we should probably fix that too. That seems like an interesting bug. Okay, so cool. We're here. If I go to edit, yep, that is not very full. That's not very full. Courses. This is the one we wanted to fix. Okay. How connect to Svelte, perform a hard refresh, or click here, not working. Svelte, yes. Built with dev mode enabled. Yeah, I'm pretty sure npm run dev. What do we got going on here? Vite dev, that seems promising. Svelte kit sync. Yeah, I don't know why that's not showing up. All this work for so little payoff. That's fine. So we're on admin courses. So let's just hop over there. Admin courses. And this is the page right here. I bet it is a card. So we have our courses table. We have view and manage all your courses. We have a button for create new course. That's right up there. Courses table, if course length, plus button for create a new course. Course content. Yeah, so it is right here, yes. Table striped. It is striped. Barely. Hoverable with full. Okay, let's take a look. So there's the with full on the table. Excuse me. Ah, card. Okay, cool. This is our issue, yes? So go to definition, card props. What do we have? Okay. Border, tag, color, shadow, node, options, role, transition, params, size. What's size type? Okay, let's try size. We'll just hop over there and give that a shot. So if I add a size, let's try extra large. Hey, that looks pretty good. I I'm a little, yeah, whatever. That'll work. Feels a little weird, but I'd rather just remove the. Oh, okay, it is. It does remove it. Okay, so that size was based on the, or that width was based on the size right here. That makes sense. All right, there's one. We'll do a similar thing over here. Yeah, we need to fix these. Same thing. So I'm actually just going to search grep for, oh, sorry, let's try that again. Search grep basic information. So that puts us right here, which should be where we want to be. Total shocker, it's another card. Size XL. Perfect, much better. Absolute beginners, no stripe payment for this one. Yep, looks good. Same with course content. Do we have another card down here? We do. Perfect. Yeah, this looks so much better. So if I want to add new content, I could click one of these to do that. Specifically, what I'm curious about, if I click edit, okay, cool, that looks good. Videos, quiz. Ooh, this is busted? It might be busted. It is busted. Oh my goodness. Sure, we'll take this and we'll copy it. Search grep. Why? Search grep. Try that again. Okay. Weird. This quiz doesn't have a description and we're requiring them to have a description. We'll try this. Perfect. Yeah, that's an interesting predicament because if it needs a description but it doesn't have one, so like an old quiz before I added that constraint, you wouldn't be able to add one in that case. So this quiz covers your fundamental. Yeah, I don't know. We don't need to add this right now. Would be nice if these were bigger. So let's look at that too. I guarantee they're going to be a card. Yeah, that looks like cards. Okay. Search, grep, quiz, questions. Yep, it is a card. Size is extra large. I need just a moment. Sorry, I totally forgot that I was gonna text my wife something, and then it slipped my mind, and I forgot to do that. So give me one moment. I'll still be here, but I need to send her a message because I totally forgot. Da, 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 da. As a random aside, I don't know what I'm listening to. Like it's Linkin Park, which is what I've signed up for. Oh, I'd actually never heard the original High Voltage. I've only heard the Reanimation version, which is fantastic, by the way. But yeah. Hey, are you using a third-party components library for this project? I am. I'm using Flowbyte for this one. Um, Flowbyte Svelte, and then is card a Svelte thing? It's not necessarily a Svelte thing. It's a component library thing. So, so if we were to pull up Flowbyte Svelte, I'm on a pretty dated version too at this point. Again, this is a pretty old project, and I haven't spent a ton of time maintaining it. But you can see that they have a card somewhere here, cards. So, and that looks pretty similar to kind of the card that we have. But yeah, it's a component from this component library that is Svelte friendly. So this one's pretty nice. There's a couple others. Svelte's interesting, where like React was pretty big in the component is pretty big in the component ecosystem. Svelte tends to do this concept of headless components pretty commonly. So they will put together all of the wiring for components, like a date picker, but not any opinions on how the UI should behave. And you can implement that yourself and connect to the components, and they'll like it's neat. Svelte headless components. I cannot remember the really popular one. Melt UI. But yeah, the idea here is that the components here give you the tools to build the um, items that you're working with. I know that sounds weird. Sorry, I'm not sure how to elaborate in a better way. But there aren't really components, but there's logic to power the components, and then you're kind of expected to build your own. One of the nice things about that is you get full customization about how it looks, which is really nice. Um, but yeah, sorry, almost finished. I just have to get a link to my wife really quick, and I gotta find the right one for her. Um, yeah, there we go. Perfect. That's the one I want. Okay. Send that to her. Okay, perfect. Let's get back to the project. Sorry about that. Just trying to avoid getting in trouble with the wife there, so didn't want to leave her hanging. Okay, so we've got our components. This feels a little better. This will make it easier for me to actually manage course content, which is the whole point. Dashboard kind of looks a little silly still. Probably should fix that. Oh, missed that notification. My bad. And yeah, let's fix this quick actions too. I'd prefer quick actions. Also a card. Sure, works for me. Recent courses, we'll do the same thing here. Also a card. I really just want to take up more of the space so everything's more clear. Perfect. This looks good. Um, Yeah, new course. Let's fix this one too. Uh, Course is new, page svelte, basic information. Nice card. Looks good. Okay, that's that's actually all I wanted to do with the courses website today. So we can hop on to some other stuff too. Wait, why did it take me? I should probably fix this on my blog. It does not look very good on um, high definition screens. Cool, thanks. Came across your channel looking for Zig related content. I'll be following along with the Zig Invaders series, so thanks for that. Yeah, awesome. I'm really glad to hear that. I wanted to put together something that wasn't just build a web server in Zig. I feel like there's too many build a web server tutorials, and I'm just tired of seeing them. So I thought it might be fun to build something else, and Space Invaders ended up being good. I do have two more bonus videos that I want to record for that on like converting to interfaces, but then also a video on allocators because we don't end up using a single allocator in that main block of course, and that's kind of pretty essential to Zig. I feel like getting a Zig course that doesn't give you exposure to allocators feels like a bad time. So admin course styles. Just give that a nice little push. This looks good. Works for me. Works for me. Quiz stuff. Cool. Okay, yeah. Fun little exercise on the courses website. I guess that's it for the courses stuff, at least. I've got plenty of time, so we'll hang out and work on some other stuff too. But let me just go ahead and close that down. You can end the video with "see you later, allocator." That is funny. I should do that. I in our Discord, the Code with Cyber Discord, I have these punny names for you know what? Let me just show you. How do I do this in a way that protects the privacy of others? Okay, blanking out the screen again. Sorry. Oh, of course, Discord has updates too. Um, how do I turn on streamer mode? Show me streamer mode. Streamer mode. Enable. Okay, perfect. All right. Yeah, so yeah. Close some of these too. So I have all of these usernames have been truncated. They don't all look truncated. Why is this one not truncated? This one's truncated. Can people choose whether they want their name to be truncated or not? Interesting. That's weird. But yeah, we've got these punny names. Pardon the pop there, but like let's get Zigsicle and Sweet Gleams and Video Killed the Radio Star. And yeah, I don't know. Someone told me that they weren't funny, and I told them that the jokes aren't for them; they're for me. But I hopefully some people do appreciate the punny names as well. Okay, let me just minimize that. We might come back to Discord at some point. Um, what should we work on? I'm kind of out of my flow here, so we could talk about some Gleam stuff. Maybe we could talk about some Zig stuff. I don't know. I'm kind of out of ideas. So maybe we just hop into Yak and I can talk to you about Yak. I haven't actually done anything with this project yet. Um, I've been trying to leverage AI assistive tooling to see how well this stuff comes together. And I really wanted to try the Ralph loop out. So I tried it. It ended up doing some stuff pretty well. Uh, but ultimately, I don't know. You could look at it and kind of come up with your own opinion. Um, but yeah, maybe I should talk about what Yak is intended to be. So Yak is this project that I hesitate to say that I've been working on because really all I've been doing is reviewing code from the AI agent that has been producing most of this, and making a ton of notes about things that I want to go back and fix. Um, but Yak is essentially yet another queue. So you can think of it as like Kafka or RabbitMQ or something. So it's a queue that's written in Gleam. It's got an admin interface. It's eerily similar to RabbitMQ at this point. They both run on the Beam. They both have similar admin interfaces. It's neat, but yeah, I don't know if that's something that would be interested in talking through. I don't really know what I would work on with this at the moment, except for maybe the fact that this is an unused variable here. Um, yeah. You know what? Actually, I have an idea. If we're gonna work on something, why don't we work on a GitHub issue? So hop over to GitHub. I'm gonna hop over to issues and created by me, customizable user agent. Sure, that seems good. Let's work on some Zig. Okay, so yeah, we'll hop over there and we'll do some Zig stuff instead. So cd into Dust server. Just pull, make sure I've got the latest. So if you've tuned in before, you probably know what Dust is. I'm not going to do a deep dive on Dust for that reason, but I will, for in case anyone's new. Dust is a media server written in Zig. It is Plex for ebooks. Excuse me, Plex for ebooks maybe isn't the most sensible, especially because I don't have any centralized servers. So there's no centralization at all. So you run your own server, accounts are managed on your own server, all of that stuff. So Dust. So what? Sorry about that. Cough caught up to me. Okay, so what this ask is essentially um, allowing people to customize the user agent that they have for Dust. And the reason this is important, we make requests on the user's behalf to Open Library. Open Library asks that if you plan to make a bunch of requests to them, you end up uh, submitting an application essentially for your submitting a request for your application to be allowed. And one of the things that will be helpful there is being able to customize your user agent. So what I would like to do is to give people the option to customize their Dust user agent like so. So you'll have Dust server, you'll have a version, and then you'll have the user configured suffix. So a user would be able to add something. This part will come from their config. This part will come from the fact that the version of the server, and this is going to be hard coded. Don't forget to flush. I never forget to flush. Uh, it's not true. I've had many issues where I've expected to see output and didn't see output, and then realized I forgot to flush. Yeah, Zig. It's my comfort food, I guess. At this point, I ran out of ideas on things to work on with the courses stuff, so figured we hop back over to Zig. New here, what did I miss? We did a little bit of SvelteKit stuff to fix some bugs on my course platform. And then we're hopping over to Zig to implement a feature, I guess, on Dust Media Server, which is a project of mine. So we have a couple different things that we need to do. We have our config that we need to handle. So we're going to add a new option here called user agent suffix. It's going to be optional. It'll be a const u8. How do I want to handle this? This is an interesting dilemma because that feels, I guess an environment variable is fine. It just feels weird. Um, but yeah, that's fine. Sure. So const user agent suffix is going to be equal to standard process get env owned allocator. And then we need our key, which is going to be called user agent suffix. And again, we'll just follow this pattern from right above and we'll catch null if we aren't able to get anything. Then our config will now use that. So we have a user agent suffix, which is going to be equal to user agent suffix. Yeah, so interesting how if I don't have a comma here, the entire LSP just like stops working. But if I add that comma, everything's good. It's kind of interesting because like this right here, I couldn't get autocomplete because I didn't have the comma. Now that I have the comma, I have autocomplete. But if we were to go back here and I delete this again and then type user, like there's nothing. But if I add the comma and then type user agent suffix, yeah, that's weird. Sorry, some people were sort of complaining maybe about the LSP and autocomplete and all sorts of other fun things that uh, Zig gives you, and the fact that like sometimes it just stops working, and it basically like if Zig cannot parse the program properly from end to end, it just stops. It doesn't try to partially parse it or anything, which can be a bit of a pain. My music stopped, so I'm gonna put on some new music. We're gonna do Ghost. Perfect. And I need to turn this up. And I'm gonna take a drink of my Pepsi. 1 second. Okay. So we now support this user agent suffix environment variable. That's pretty good. We need to go and modify I'm just going to pull up Vim and we'll operate in Vim instead of me going out and back into Vim over and over and over again. So we have an open library client. So we have our external book metadata right here. We have our client, have our base URL. We're going to give this a user agent, which is going to be a const u8. Do we want to default? Yeah, we do want to default. It'll just be dust server slash, and then we need the version. I don't know. No, let's not do a default. I think it'll be easier if we choose not to. So we're going to allocate it with a user agent. Slice of const u8. I forgot the dot. Format properly, please. Thank you. Did you see that thing where Ghost performed in Orlando and someone thought they cursed the stadium to make the baseball team lose? I did not. That's very, very funny. Orlando, are those Orlando the what's Orlando's baseball team? They're not very good, right? Orlando baseball team. The Orlando Dreamers. Oh, they're not MLB. They're working to bring an MLB team to Orlando. Bringing Major League Baseball. Okay, so is their team? Yeah, I'm curious. Oh, basketball. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah, yeah. I do see that you said basketball. Uh oh, the Magic. Oh, okay. Yeah, the Magic's not bad. Oh, 2 days ago too. Wow, this is Ghost gets blamed for the mediocre Orlando Magic. This is not a test. Funny. Yeah, I did not see that at all. Okay, so we're passing in our user agent to the client. We make a request somewhere down here. Look up by ISBN, makes that request. So we have our allocator, we're building our URL, doing some logging, HTTP client. This was interesting. I don't remember if I streamed this or talked about it in a video or what. Maybe neither. But I was running into some issues where Zig 0.15.1's HTTP client was not, it was just not working, um, which was pretty interesting. And then I had no indication as to why it was not working. I was trying to dig really deep, started using LLDB to debug. And ultimately, I was like, this is probably a skill issue on my part, but not being fruitful at all. And I figured I would just update to 0.15.2 and see if it worked, and it did. And so confused by that. But okay, so we have a writer, we have a body, our fetch result. What do we have in here? So we have our location. Do we have a user? It looks like you're lying to me. I don't think we have user agent there. So let's pull up the docs. Zig 0.15.2. Show me standard library docs. That's what I want. Show me fetch. Fetch options. What do we have? Response writer. Do we have a user agent? No. Um, User agent. We do on the headers. Okay, cool. Headers are weird, right? Location, method, response writer, headers. User agent. And this will be our self.user agent. James, Mr. James, who I would assume Mr. My apologies if not. Shouldn't assume, but who mentioned the basketball ghost debacle. Do you have a favorite ghost song? I have really been enjoying the Skeleton album like crazy. Curious what you like. If you're still here, that is. Okay, we've got our user agent. It's being passed in. We know that our allocator needs it. So if we go check where this is initialized, go to references. We have two. They're both in tests. That does not bode well. Go to references. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I've refactored this so many times that I think I am. No, it's right here, right? Yeah, weird. It just doesn't show up. Like it doesn't identify the reference there for some reason. Strange. Okay, that is it though. So we need our user agent, right? So how do we want to do this? We have an allocator. We have nothing else in scope here. The question becomes, do we just pass the user agent into this, or do we furnish the user agent at this point? I feel like we probably don't want to pass the user agent in here. Again, only used in tests, which is not correct. Search grep metadata extractor. Yeah, literally right here and in the scanner. LSP is failing me hard today. Square Hammer's been your most listened to song on Spotify since it came out. Nice. Actually, which album is that from? Yeah, okay. Cider is definitely having some issues. I'm happy it's playing music. I'll just be content with that. By the way, what are you doing? I'm working on a Zig project. So I've got a media server that I've been building in Zig called Dust, and we are tackling a GitHub issue that I've filed on it, specifically allowing the user to somewhat customize the user agent that is sent when we make requests to open library. So yeah, just working on that. Some Zig, hanging out. Honestly, whether we write much code today or not, I would consider this very successful. Just kind of hanging out and talking shop, I guess would be a good way to put it. But if we have any coding stuff we want to talk about or questions or just hang out and talk about the things that we're excited about in tech, that sounds like an excellent time to me. So I'm kind of open to whatever we end up doing. Okay. So scanner ends up using the metadata extractor. Yeah, it's literally right there. Come on. Oh, and it go to definition works, but go to references isn't? Weird. Okay, do we have the config here? No, our scanner does not get the config. I feel like it probably should get the config. This is going to be more of a pain than I realized, right? Because the scanner is used by this background timer manager. So we have our DB, we have our library directories. Yep. Background task context, scan context. Yeah. And then scan libraries. Heap allocator, scanner. Okay, we're walking. Scan library. Yeah, so the scanner's all the way down here. Okay. And we initialize our scanner right here. Yeah, we're gonna have to pass this config all the way down, which is fine. It's whatever. I just am trying to figure out if it makes sense to yeah, we have the config right here. So I think instead of passing in the library directories, I think we just pass in the config. Same here. And then this one. Sorry. A little overzealous. The Dust server needs just the library directories. The only thing we need to fix Is that true? Because we can fetch metadata from an admin endpoint. No, I think we need to fix both. Okay. Yeah, this is interesting too that we're passing. Let's fix one at a time. So we have our background timer manager. Let's hop back to this. Instead of library directories, we're now passing in the config. So we have our config, which is going to be config. And then library directories becomes cfg.library directories, cfg.library directories. I don't know what this type is, so let's sort out that type really quick. Up to the top, please. Config is import config. Config. Perfect. Okay, so we have our config. Looks good. Config.library directories. Just go to definition. Perfect. Okay, everything's wired up like we would expect. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Okay. So hop back over to main. That's our background timer manager that's been adjusted. So that gets us here. Our scan context will be updated up here. So we're passing in our library directories. I feel like, again, we should just pass in our entire config. Probably should change that so it doesn't say library directories. Okay, feels pretty good. And then we need to update our functions that are being triggered. So clean up old books and scan libraries. So let's go to definition for scan libraries. We get our background context. We have our context allocator, our context DB. Were we not using those library directories? Why were we passing those in? No, we weren't. It literally, we're grabbing. Why? This is dusters, right? Config, library directories, parse comma separated, dir string. Dir string is dusters. Why? I have literally, I'm the only person who's worked on this project. I have no one to blame but myself. But looking back at my own code here, kind of seems silly. I'm curious if I did this for a debugging reason or if there was something else going on. But oh, what was the type here? Interesting. So we have an iterator if we take this approach. So it is splitting. So our config is already splitting those, right? Parse commas. Oh, it's expecting it to be comma separated? Ooh, I got some issues here. What uses these library directories? Let's just delete that for a second. Okay. Yell at me. Tell me I've got issues. Okay. Library directories is used by config.zig. That makes sense. Let's remove it there and see where. Yeah, right here. Sure. Okay, this is interesting. This is definitely a bug. This is a symptom of the fact that I'm the only one running this, and currently, I'm only using a single directory for Dust. So this parse comma separated stuff is working fine. Standard array list, we're iterating, parsing them separately. Okay. Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. Background tasks should not be doing this. So we'll keep this. We'll toss this. We'll toss this. We'll toss this. We don't need an iterator. We don't need a while. Instead, we want to change this to a for. And then this becomes for we essentially want to iterate through those items. So what? CFG. Is it not called CFG? Ah, content. We got to pull it from the context. So CTX CFG config. Library directories. That's what it's called. Oh, it's already a slice. It's not an array list. Okay, cool. Okay, so that fixes that issue. Is this using... This shouldn't use libraries, right? Because it's operating purely on the database. So I don't think we have the same issue down here. Does not look like it. Okay. Um, we have our config. Oh, sorry about the cough. Hi, do I see Zig being adopted more in the future? Yeah, probably. You, sorry, that sounds really nonchalant. Would the question really should be, would I spend as much time with Zig if I don't see it being adopted in the future? Um, I feel like the answer to that would be no. I don't think I would spend as much time with Zig if I didn't see it being adopted more in the future. I think that it's a really great language. It's going to give us a really strong alternative to C. And I mentioned this previously, but you probably weren't here for it. I think O16 is going to be a catalyst for Zig adoption. And I specifically choose the word catalyst because I think either when O16 comes out and we have async and juicy main and all sorts of other things that help with adoption of the language, adoption is either going to go straight up, like it's going to shoot up really high really fast, or it's going to go really down really fast. That those are my thoughts. We'll see. I'm excited to see how it goes. I plan to continue using it for the foreseeable future. It's so fast. It's so lightweight. And honestly, it's just pretty pleasant to use. There's don't get me wrong. I've got my complaints. Like one of the things I was talking about earlier is the fact that if I remove a comma, autocomplete stops working. So like this is interesting, right? Check my LSP. Notice how there's no hints or anything right here. But if I add this comma back and then I type allocator, we're good to go. But if I were to like remove the comma, this whole block right here, and actually it's just this block, which is a little better than I expected, starts to throw a fit and not have any form of autocomplete. And like little things like that are kind of pain points, especially when you roll that up to a larger program and you realize like if something's off, your LSP just kind of stops giving you useful information. Like, that bites, right? But like it's something that can be fixed. And I think in time it will be. And honestly, I probably should put up or shut up and contribute to it. It's open source, so it's not like they would be opposed to me trying to contribute fixes for that. Okay, so we have our background timer manager. We're passing in the config. I've been doing some Zig coding the old way with no LSP at all, just syntax highlighting. It's pretty nice. You are either what's the a unit. That's what young kids would say, I would assume. An absolute, you are either an absolute unit or you are someone who is a glutton for punishment. I am, there are a lot of tools you could take away from me, but an LSP is like, I would struggle at that point. If you took away the LSP with, like, all the nice things that it gives me, like go to definition, go to references, autocomplete, things of that nature, I would really struggle. Okay, so background stuff looks good. We've updated our scanner, at least a little bit. Uh, okay, why? So yet again, I've got dusters invading this area. We're splitting. We don't need to do any of this. Why are we doing this? We're having the allocator dupe it. Yeah, we shouldn't need any of this, right? Us copying, that's interesting. So we have our config that we essentially need to pass in for our scanner. So let's adjust this. And this will now become config dot library ders, I think is what it's called, but we'll deal with that in a second. Oh, too far up. Config.zig, config. Okay. Looks good. Pretty sure DIRS is not the appropriate term for that. So let's see what we got. Library directories, that seems better. Why is this an array list? Slice should be fine, no? Ooh, interesting. We don't want to free these anymore. So our dinit essentially becomes useless? I think that might actually be the case. Scan library takes in a specific path. Okay, let's go to references for this. For config context library directories. Is this used? Is scan directories used? Go to references. No, okay, literally not used anywhere. Nice and easy. Just made this even simpler. I do think we want config there though, because we want our metadata extractor to initialize the open library client with the correct user agent. So, okay, we'll do it here. That's where we will build our user agent. So we have our config. Again, the type's going to be config. Import config. Okay, so we're pulling in our config. Yep, seems good. Come back to that in just a minute. Hey, I'm currently learning Python, and at what point would you recommend to start learning DSA? Um, what do you want to do? Like, what? Why are you learning Python? I think that would probably be my question that I would ask you back. You can build a lot without data structures and algorithms, like lists, dictionaries. I think they're called dictionaries in Python, but maps, whatever they are. You can build a lot with just your fundamentals, to be completely honest, and more times than not they're fine. One of the things that I found interesting is that there's all this talk about like O of n with big O notation, but more times than not n is pretty small. um, and I think optimizing for readability and maintenance is often a better solution until you know that n is actually a very, very large number. That might not be very helpful, especially since you're asking about learning DSA. You might not know much about big O notation. Maybe you do in performance. I don't know. But yeah, if you are starting out with Python and you're curious about when you should start learning data structures and algorithms, yeah, I don't know. It really depends on what your goal is. Like if you want to land a job at a company that does leak code style interviews and they're expecting to judge you on your data structures and algorithms, start learning them soon. Um, you might be shocked at how not often you leverage that knowledge once you actually get the job. But yeah, I don't know. I think they're good things to know. There's a lot that I really like about them. And I really like thinking about actually data structures more so than algorithms, but algorithms too. But yeah, Bloom filters are cool. Just as a random tidbit, I find those fascinating. B trees are really useful if you're wanting to build a database, things of that nature. Mostly back end. Yeah, I mean, like, I guess it depends on what, right? So, like, if you're building like Python microservices, the data structures that you're probably going to use are going to be probably few and far between. Um, you probably would use an HTTP framework like what's the really popular Python one right now? It's not Fast API. Um, is it Fast API? Python web frameworks. Just give me the really popular ones. Fast API. Okay, it is Fast API. Yeah, Fast API is really popular, right? Django. Okay. Um, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of Fast API. Django. I don't know if many people use Django as much anymore. I know it was really popular during the uh not so much API period, but the web app period. So like when Ruby on Rails was popular, Django was kind of the Python equivalent. But Fast API is like people use this like crazy just because of how fast it is for Python. Um, but the point being, you'd use an API like Fast API, you'd take in an incoming HTTP request, you'd maybe connect to a database and do some database lookups based off of the data that came in, maybe transform some of that, maybe put more data in a database, and then return a response. Like the interesting parts of the problem there are handled by the database and the web framework. So a lot of it is like I don't know. This sounds kind of demoralizing when I think about it, but a lot of programming is really just like converting business logic to conditionals and then figuring out how to apply it. At least in the web space, things get different when you start doing graphics programming and GUI type stuff, microcontrollers, anything like that. But like web backend is so popular that it's been abstracted pretty aggressively. And there are a lot of like Python's not a good tool for like storing a bunch of stuff in memory. So, Redis is a better tool for that. Or Python's not a good tool for storing a lot of things on disk. And generally, because of the way compute and storage are priced in a cloud based environment, you end up having a very large storage device and a very large compute device, and those are not the same. So your Python code will run on your compute device in that case, and your storage will run on or your database will run on like your storage device. And this generally is better. to separate things that way. Also, I'm going to learn Java after mastering fundamentals of Python. What do you think about that? Is it worth it? Many people told me only Python isn't enough for a good paying job. It's saturated. I mean, it depends on where you're at and like your job market too. Um, I I would love to like muse this question with you a lot. I'm not a good person to answer. I've been programming professionally for 15 years, so I have no idea what the entry level job market is. I could speculate all day, but realistically, I don't know. Um, Java's fine. It's pretty popular from my knowledge. A lot of big companies still use it. Really, we're playing with toys right now. What you got? You get your squeaker? All right. If that gets annoying, let me know, and I'll swap toys for my dog so she doesn't have something so squeaky to play with. But um, yeah, I don't know. Java's fine. Like it's pretty popular for a good reason. It's still used pretty heavily. I think it just I would take a look at like your job market. Like just for example, if you live in San Francisco, your job market's going to be different than if you lived in London. Well, a little bit for London, but like Japan, Ruby is somewhat popular. So like, Ruby might be more common in Japan than Africa and just things like that too are things to think about. Yeah, I don't know. That's a really great question. Someone said learn data structures and algorithms are in, which I'm assuming is right now. Um, I'd love to learn more about why you feel like they should learn them right now. My personal opinion is it really depends on what you want to build because a lot of times at the end of the day, you're not going to build red black trees in your application for web APIs, and I think web APIs tend to just be what most people work on, at least in this day and age. It's different too, right? Like if you say, I really want to get a job at, oh my gosh, MongoDB might be an example. And you say, I really want to work on MongoDB. Well, then, yeah, you probably should learn about like B trees and write ahead logging and, some stuff that maybe isn't even DSNA, but is specific to the domain that you're applying for. Well, when would you recommend learning DSNA? When you need it or when you feel comfortable enough in your fundamentals that you're ready to learn something new? Um, Yeah, I think that would be my answer. You might get I would honestly look for more lives and like streams and stuff and ask other people and see what they say as well. I think don't take my word for it. Definitely check out what other advice people are willing to give you as well. Um, but yeah, I think we put a lot of importance on data structures and algorithms, but I again thinking back on like the 15 years that I've been doing this, the only times that I've really leaned on data structures and algorithms are for interviews and then very very situationally when building certain things, and that's my professional career. The stuff I do for fun, I like those things. I actually really like data structures. And again, algorithms maybe a little less so, but really like data structures. So I try to find fun things I can build where I get to work with data structures. So like building a Redis clone helps you learn about Bloom filters, for example. Building a database will help you learn about B trees and B plus trees and all the other permutations of B trees and other things of that nature. Like, you might end up building linked lists when you're building ASTs for compilers and that type of stuff. But I guess the point I'm getting at is like, out of all the things I've mentioned, most jobs out in the field of software engineering, most don't have you writing compilers. They don't have you writing a database engine from scratch. It's just using one that already exists. They don't have you writing your own Redis. They just have you using Redis or Memcache. So I guess what I'm getting at is like I would just get really good at like my fundamentals, like debuggers, and figuring out how to take requirements or take an ask and implement that in whatever language you choose to spend time with. I think Python's an excellent choice. Java's an excellent choice too. Any of like the major 10 languages. I don't know. I just made that number up for what it's worth, but like Java, Python, JavaScript, TypeScript, Go, Rust. I don't know if Rust is major, but it's growing to where it would be. Um, Ruby, maybe PHP. I don't know. The numbers are getting a little skewed since when I started, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully that's helpful. Ask other people too. Don't just take my advice for it. Where were we? All right. Thanks for your advice. Good luck. Yeah, you too. Let me come back at some point and let me know how it's turning out. If you, especially if I gave you bad advice, if you later realize like, oh, dang it, Brad, I really should have learned data structures and algorithms, and you told me not to. Let me know because other people might ask the same question, and I would hate to continue to give people bad advice. Or maybe I'm right, and maybe you'll pop back in and say, hey, you were totally right. I'm really glad I just focused on building programs and getting a good understanding of how they work and how the computer processes the code that I type and what that actually means and how to be mindful about performance without getting too into DS&A. But yeah, good luck. Okay, so we're passing in the config. We're going to do our user agent stuff here. And that'll be in the open library client. This is the metadata extractor. So we need to pass in our config. Nice and easy. Okay, cool. This enable external lookup is interesting. It seems like config, so I feel like I should just like make another struct to hold the config and that external lookup, but I don't know. We'll come back to that. It's not a big deal at this point in time. Metadata extractor. Okay, so we have our config. We want to build our user agent, so we're going to do some string fumped stuff. So let's user agent. I don't really want to allocate here if we can avoid it, but I don't think we're going to be able to avoid it right now, at least. Okay. So we want our user agent to be dust server slash version, which is what I've already forgotten my Zig formatters. Oh, come back. Zig guide, you actually have really good stuff on this. Not percent. Okay. How does this work? I think so. In our build.zig.zon, it is a string. Okay, perfect. So if it's a string, S, simple enough. And then let me hop back over to the GitHub issue just so I understand. Okay, and then user configured suffix. So we have dust server, and then we essentially want config user agent. I don't think it's called user agent. It's user agent suffix, right? It is. Okay. And then I need the version here. So something like that. Yeah, that's fair. We'll try this and catch it if it fails up. Should the this is so pedantic, but should the client take in the user agent or should it determine what the user agent is? And the reason I ask is because I'm going to have to allocate here in the metadata extractor, and then I'm going to have to free it, but I'm also going to have to manage the lifetime if I do it here. Where if I do it here in the init, yeah, it does feel cleaner to have it be in the client. So I guess we'll keep it there. Really quick, 1 second break. Okay, almost forgot to turn my mic back on. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're doing our external lookup. We'll just go ahead and pass in our user agent here. Update this. No, it does. It does take in our user agent, which is great. So we'll go to references, go to references. Yeah, so interesting that it is not hopping between files very well. Okay, how do I get the version from my zig.zon? I'm pretty sure I'm doing this in main.zig somewhere. Build.version. Boom, that is it. Okay. Should that be in the config as well? It's not something that a user can configure, so I'm going to go with no. And instead, drop this into our metadata extractor right here. Yeah, dot version, right? Should be good. Okay, let's give this a build. I'm sure I broke plenty of stuff, but give it a shot and see how it turns out. Excuse me. Okay, admin routes. Yep, that totally makes sense. We need to give the config to our admin route. Background tasks. Let's hop over to background tasks first. I think that'll be the simplest. Right here. So this needs bada bing. Okay. How we doing? Metadata extractor 46. Okay. Did we finish our Ghost album already? We did. Kind of crazy to me that like this stuff just isn't loading. Let me close Cider and then maybe just reopen it and we'll see if that fixes it. Hey, that did fix it. Awesome. Yeah. Bounce through some songs, so unfortunately I'll be alt tabbing quite a bit, but kind of have a couple things I'd like to listen to. Yeah, this can now return an error, right? So we need to handle that. So bada bing, which means that our scanner, yeah, right down here, also returns an error, which it does already. So that actually works out pretty well. Okay, Should fix a couple of these. I really wish I knew the hotkey to. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. I just need to memorize that. Invalid format for string. Okay, that makes sense. So our issue there is we're doing some string formatting with an optional, and we're expecting it to be a string. So we need to handle that. So I can go ahead and tell you where that is, which is right here in this right here. Um, oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind on the Zig optionals. All right, Zig guide, show me what you got. Or else, thank you. Jeez. Downside to language hopping is small things like that get forgotten all the time. Okay, admin routes, we're going to come back to that one still. Actually, all of the rest of these are going to be issues from the actual server. So we have our books model, we have our admin routes. Also, really curious why this is needed here, but we'll take a look at that. So let's hop over to our admin routes. $35. So we need our config. We're not passing that in, but we are passing in the library directories here. So somewhere, somehow, we are getting access to the config, or again, reading from an environment, which is no bueno. So let's go ahead and const config import too far up config. Man, what a good song. Zig scares me. Every time I try it, I bounce. You have Ferris as your mascot, your logo, your icon. Oh my god, avatar. That's the word I'm looking for. So Rust is your preference, I take it? I find Rust scary personally. Um, it's funny, anytime I try to write Rust, I just need to give it more time, but I will find myself writing something in Rust and getting frustrating and being like, I know exactly how to implement this in Zig, and then I'll just go implement it in Zig instead. But I probably just need to struggle through that frustration and really figure Rust out. I do think that it's got a very important future ahead of it, and I'd like to be a little more involved in that future than just someone sitting on the sidelines. So I don't know. Need to spend some time and really learn Rust. I've built a couple small things with it. A HTTP API using Rocket, um, little CLI tool, just a couple one-off programs. I did Advent of Code in it one year, but really not anything. Advent of Code's interesting because the stuff you build for Advent of Code generally doesn't show off the parts that make Rust unique or the parts that make like Zig unique, because it's not software, it's programs. It's programs that take in input and then give output. It's not like long running software that is intended to stay up and continue running time and time and time again. And yeah, I don't know. I think that it might be cooler to build something substantial with Rust to really show off the parts that make it interesting. Collision course, maybe? Just more Linkin Park. Uh, We'll just play them all. Okay. Okay, so we're passing in our config now. So I want to find a reference for this scan library. It's passing in library directories. And we know it needs to pass in config, which is probably going to come from the CTX as well. Go to references, config. What's the config here? Route config. Okay. Cores middleware. Where's the context coming from? Setup routes. Okay, so instead of library directories, I think we just want to pass in our config. Excuse me. Okay, that's our server context. Where does this actually get set up? So, no, 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 no. Excellent. It's not very helpful at all. This context pointer, creating our server context here. Yeah, right here then, huh? Where does library directories come from here? Go to definition. They get passed in. Do we not have the config here? No, we've got our atomics, library directories. Okay. So this is going to change from library directories to config. It's going to be a config. Sure. And we're initializing this down here. This ended up being a much bigger. Nice, we have our config here. So instead of library directories, we can just pass in config. Also, we can remove our JWT secret. We can remove our port. I don't know, maybe we should keep our port. Yeah, let's keep our port. But we can remove our JWT secret here as well. Love to see it. And then this now becomes config.jwt secret. Beautiful. This now becomes config.library directories. All right. It's feeling good. Let's give it another build. Uh, okay. Dust server expect 5 arguments, found 6. We're gonna have to fix all of our tests too. That sucks, but it is what it is. Main.zig 118. Did I allocator port database config? Okay, allocator port database config. Allocator port database config. Why is allocator port database JWT secret? Why JWT secret? JWT secret does not exist. Uh, what the heck? Oh, and it's gone. Interesting. That was really strange. I guess the Zig build tool was catching up, maybe using some cache stuff. Books model 277. Books model 277. Ah, yes, the metadata extractor again. Config, right? Yep. Oh, man, I really don't like that. Okay. Okay, we got our config. Oh, actually, really curious if my tea is cooled off at all yet. It's still really hot, but drinkable. Okay, we need to get the config to this refresh metadata function, which at this point feels like maybe I am not handling this very well and should invert this. Self book repository. Okay. We can inversion here. We can give the config to the book repository. So we get a why did I do this? Okay, that seems promising. So refresh metadata is on the book repo. So now the key thing is I just need to give the book repo access to the config. Oh, why do we need Just a lot of cleanup here. Go to references. Yeah, we don't need that anymore, do we? Okay. Where was that server context? So search grep server context equals. Okay. Server. Oh, context pointer is what it was called. Okay. So our context pointer here has access to a book repo. Where is book repo created? Book repo is created calling a init right here. So let's just give this a config as well, and then we should be good to go. Looks good to me. What you made me do? Look what I made for you. Man, I don't know how popular this album is. I'm going to assume not very much, but Linkin Park and Jay-Z did this album called Collision Course, and it's so good. I'm not a big rap fan. There's some rap that I like, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's so good. I'm also a sucker for mashups, and it is like 6 songs and they're all mashups. And it's so good. Highly recommend checking it out if you get a moment. But okay, book repository, a init, we've added our config, moment of truth, zig build, and it fails. Yeah, this was an error that we didn't fix, so we should probably go fix this. Open library 93. Let's hop on over. Open library 93. This is just not formatted properly, I'm guessing. User agent needs to be a header value. HTTP client request headers.value. Is there... Can I just anonymous struct this somehow? Oh, oops. Shoot. What was it? 93, not 193. Okay, what am I doing wrong here? Go to definition. What are you? Value, okay. Default, omit, or override. Okay, simple enough. We just want to override it in our case. Boom. Something like that. Sweet. Looking good. Moment of truth, round 2. Oh, yeah. I totally forgot we changed the ordering of the parameters for initializing the book repo on the book repo. So we need to actually update that in the server. So server 62. Yeah. So this becomes allocator. Actually, I'm going to just fix all of these really quick. I really don't like having the allocator not as the first parameter here. And if you really want to get pedantic, maybe this shouldn't be a managed allocator. But here we are. Author repo, go to definition, allocator, standard mem.allocator. Whoa, overshot that a little bit. Okay. Same thing here in the tag repo. We're going to go to definition and we'll change this one to allocator first, standard mem.allocator. I'm actually curious if I need to pass in an allocator here. I should probably audit these, uh, but I'm getting side quested hard right now. So instead, what I'm going to do is we're going to hop over to Dust and I'm just going to file another issue. Blank issue. Audit repositories to see if we can move away from a managed allocator on the repo structs. Just gonna go ahead and assign this to myself. Label. I don't really know. Improvement, is improvement an option? Enhancement. Sure. Issue type, task. Yeah, that works. Feel bad creating empty issues, but if it's already self-assigned, then that's fine. Okay. Server.zig. Updated that. Feel pretty good about that. Let's give it a build. Book model needs the config, or the book repository needs the config. I'm not a huge fan of this. I also admin routes, no DNIT on the scanner. Yep, we removed the need for that. So let's go ahead and fix that. Okay, there's one. Books routes 838. How often? Okay. What else? So this needs the config. And we need to get the config from somewhere. So we have our request, we have our response, we're getting our SQLite DB. I don't think we have anything in scope here to give server context. We'll have the config. Why are we initializing a book repository? I think the issue here is that it doesn't have access to the server context. So we're passing in the DB, which makes sense, although it's context.db.db, which is kind of gross. I actually think we probably should just change this to be the server context pointer. So let's head back over here and change this to CTX. It'll be a pointer to server context. We'll have to get that from wherever it comes from. And then what we'll do here is instead of using book repo, we'll be able to use the one on the context. Where does this come from? Okay, context.zig, server context. me clean this up too while I'm up here. Interesting. Whoa. One too many. Okay. A little cleaner there too. My music did stop. Let's throw something else on. Any song requests? Not that you guys get to hear them, but maybe if you have some suggestions for me. Could do musicals. Acoustic covers. Yeah, I don't know. Nope, I do know. Synthwave. Let's do it. Okay. So we have our cover manager. That looks good. That looks good. Importing our model. Got our context. Okay, server context. Server context. We got this down here. So we shouldn't need our book repo anymore because we should just be able to do server context dot. Sorry, it'd just be CTX. CTX dot book repo. Yeah, perfect. Okay, cool. Which means we don't need to pass our database in anymore, which is a little nicer. Hey, Tambo, Tambo, Tambo. I'm gonna go with Tambo because it reminds me of Rambo. But correct me if I'm wrong on that. Hey, how are you? What is popping is I got nothing. No puns or anything. Bo like bro. Okay. Tambo the Tambro. Gotcha. So we don't need our database anymore. So we're just going to pass in that context and we should be good to go. That'll fix this issue of us needing to new up that book repo. Yeah. Ugh. This is what I get for rushing through this project originally. Okay, let's give it a build. See it fail. Interesting. No field name, extract metadata. Oh, error union. Okay, books model 280. You got it. Yep. Makes sense. What was the other one? Books model 280? Oh no, we were just there. Server 615. Sorry, you actually asked what was popping, and I gave you a non-answer. We're just working on some Zig stuff. We fixed some UI bugs on the admin panel for my courses website earlier. I'm just working on a Dust issue to allow people to configure the user agent that gets sent to Open Library whenever we request metadata for the books that they have. So yeah, this is Dust. This is Dust. So yeah, we're working on that, and it ended up being a little bigger than I expected, but we're also trying to do it correct and using the opportunity to fix some stuff as we go. So, and don't get me wrong, there's been plenty to fix. Yeah, I think there's a 30-second delay between me saying something and you all hearing it, which I don't entirely know why that is. I would assume it so if I accidentally say something I shouldn't, I have a way to like cut that. But I have no idea how to do that. So I have no idea what the point is there. But So yeah, I can remove this comment now that we are actually doing things the way that it should be. We have our arena allocator, we got our cover manager, things are looking good. Um, what was our failure here? Server 615. Server 615. My apologies. Auth repo books model 292. Yeah, that makes sense. Books model 292. I just fixed the ordering for these, so allocator comes before the database. Background tasks 28. We remove the dinit method for scanner since we don't need it anymore. Since we're not actually allocating any memory, there's nothing to clean up. Give it another build. Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. A successful build. Let's get our test working too. Random question for people who write Zig. When your Zig program builds, how confident are you that it will do what you expect it to do? I have my own thoughts, but I would like to hear from you all before I share mine. In fact, you'll probably see my own thoughts here in just a minute, but never? You're never confident that it'll do what you're expecting it to do? Really? You're still learning. That's fair. That's fair. I'd like to think that I'm still learning too. Like I have pretty good knowledge about at least the fundamentals. And sorry. Oh, that dang cough. Yeah. I feel like I've got pretty good understanding of the fundamentals, but I'd like to think that I'm still learning, especially in some of the more advanced stuff too. And a lot on conventions and idiomatic Zig, and um, there's a fair amount that I'm still learning. Okay. Tests. Let's fix our tests. Metadata extractor 421. Not never, but depends on how complex the logic is. If it's too complex, then rarely, otherwise very confident. Yeah, that probably models how I feel pretty closely as well. I trust Zig to if I've written the logic as well as I like to think that I have, and all the stars align, I'd like to think that everything is good, and I trust Zig to help make sure that everything is. Can we just try that? Just need to try all of these. You can try in your tests, right? I have to imagine yes. I don't know if I've ever really done that. No, that's not true. I definitely am doing that. And also, yeah, the testing itself is uses try. That makes sense. Okay. $421. That's why I like to do incrementally and use tests. Yeah, that makes sense. Tests are wonderful. I do enjoy them quite a bit. We need to give it our config 421. I think we can just throw in a config like this. Oh my goodness. Type, Brad, type. Okay. Yeah, let's give this a shot. Yeah, I did not like that. Okay, that's fair. Um, what's a good solution for this? I feel like I don't want to create like a mock version of our config. I mean, I guess I can just config like so. I don't really want to call a init. There's no reason to. Oops. There's no reason to call a init. Come on. So we got a config. Config. If I was a smarter man, I would just write a little bit of vim here, like a little macro or something to take care of this for me. But I'm not a smarter man, and I'm also a tired man. Why the trailing comma? Because if I save the file, it looks like this. If I add the trailing comma and save, it now looks like this. It's just a little hint for the formatter to tell the Zig formatter, I would like this on new lines instead of all one line. The comma is optional there, the trailing one, but just formatting. Yeah, still missing all those keys. Son of a gun. Okay. Uh, sure. Make it at least sound like this isn't intended to just be used for tests. I can't do that, right? Like, I can't just do that and expect sensible defaults. Am I crazy? Maybe I can? I don't know. I have doubts. Let's fix a couple more of those tests. So that was metadata extractor. Yeah, so let's just swap more of them over to using a init, and then we'll see if that works like one would expect it to. No? Oh my goodness. So it's config. I'm losing my mind. What is find and replace? Thanks. I don't yeah, it should be oh my gosh, I'm losing my mind. Percent %s config yeah. Okay, whatever. Great. Problem solved. I'll just ignore the fact that I could not remember the appropriate Vim motions to make that happen. Thank you, Tambo, for your assistance there. Okay, yeah, so we can't just do that. So let's hop back to what file was this? Config.zig. Library directories, empty string is fine. Google Books API key, just keep that null for now. We're not really even using that anywhere yet, so I probably should either remove that or actually configure it so we don't confuse people. Port, sure, 3000. Database URL, empty, jot secret, empty, allocator. Oh, config's expected to have an allocator? Why is config expected to have an allocator? I don't like that. Parse comma separated. There's no reason. Bad design on my part is the reason that there is an allocator here. So standard mem allocator. And this will no longer be self, and neither will this. Neither will that. Okay. Yeah, bad design on my part. Who let me do that? And then somewhere this is called go to references. And this needs an allocator. Perfect. Nice and easy. You got it. Let's give this another run. Yep. Makes sense. Config.zig. What, 16, I think? Yeah. Oh, really? Kind of shocked by that. Do you have anything good, Google? Okay. Yeah. Uh, it's literally right there in front of me. Okay. Actually, it can just stay empty, right? Sure. Oh, man. Just stumbling over myself here. I gotta tell you, the svelte stuff was a lot easier. Oh, not sure how I did that. Okay, cool. Hello, Martian coders 1518, if that is your real name. What am I building? I'm building. So I've got this project called Dust. You can find more at dustbooks.org if that's something you're interested in. Oh no. www.dustbooks.org. I should fix that with a proper redirect. Yeah, you can find out more at www.dustbooks.org if you're interested. But it's a media server written in Zig for hosting your ebooks and giving you like an actual reader for your ebooks and all of that stuff. So I could go to client.dustbooks.org. You can also run a client on your own, um, like server and stuff. So I can say bradlab http://bradlab1:4000, since that's the home lab server that I'm running this on. Forgot, minor issue. Firefox gets picky when you are connecting via HTTPS. So maybe a better solution would be, sure, connect server bradlab1 http://bradlab1, something like this. Successfully signed in, or connected at least. Now I need to actually sign in. So there's my email. I think I used a dummy password for this account. Yeah. Okay. No? Did it? Do we have an error? Oh, okay. Weird. Small issue on my part, I guess, but something worth fixing. So yeah, this is what I'm working on. So this is my media server for my home lab that is running Dust Books. So I've got a bunch of books that I've purchased from like Humble Bundle and other DRM free platforms. Not a big fan of DRM personally, but so you can read your books on here. And this client's a web-based client, so you can do it on mobile, you can do it on desktop, whatever. But part of the appeal is that there's progress tracking. So you can see like this Build Your Own Programming Language by Clinton L. Jeffrey. We can start getting into this, and then we get 30 pages in, and then we do something that I'm going to simulate, maybe going to bed and then coming back the next day. And when you come back the next day, you're still on page 30. It does progress tracking there. You can see progress tracking here. Again, if we come back into it, it'll pick us up where we left off. This UI needs a little bit of love, but the fun stuff for me to work on is the Zig side, so the actual the server itself, and like the web engine that is running all of this. And the front end that you're seeing here is a standalone single page application that is built with TypeScript and Lit. That stuff's cool too. It's neat technology. I like it a lot, but Zig is currently holding my interest at the moment. So I'm trying to spend more time on the Zig side doing things. You have a first edition of that DNS and bind book. I have the fifth edition as a DRM free ebook, not the first edition. This is interesting. I would love I've built like a little DNS server as part of a Code Crafters challenge. I would love to actually read through this and get a deeper understanding of how all this stuff fits together. So maybe that'll be a fun thing to do at some point, but currently my plate is very, very full. But yeah, so this is the project from a visual side, and then the stuff that I'm working on at the moment is the Zig side of things. I do say at the moment, but also I've been streaming for almost 3 hours now, which is way longer than I usually do, and I'm not sure how much longer I'll go for. So bind is very underrated. I think it's just a lost technology. I actually don't know what bind is, to be completely honest with you. Okay, open library client takes in a testing allocator, but it needs something else. It was what, 481, I think? What else do you need? Oh, a user agent. Of course you need a user agent. Okay. Sure. I don't necessarily care at the moment. Probably should add a test to make sure it actually uses the user agent at some point, since we've gone through all this work. But for now, I'd like to just get tests passing and our build working. Hey, perfect. 6 tests leaked. Not my favorite thing to see, but our tests ran, which is good. Okay, this one leaked. Where did you leak? Sure. Search, grep, paste that there. Bind is just a DNS server. It has a bunch of software around that, but at its core, it's just DNS. Gotcha. Okay, what did we break? uh, memory address here. Oh, yeah. This makes total sense. We didn't clean up after ourselves, right? So wrong hotkey. So our user agent for our, not the open library piece, but the metadata extractor needs to clean itself up. So if we go to our init here, pourquoi? Yeah, we are doing an alloc print on this. We don't have a dinit. We need to do more to this too, don't we? So I want like standard mem, is it trim? Type's going to be a U8. The slice is going to be user agent. The values to strip are just spaces. How does this work? What does this give me? Remove a set of values from the beginning and end of a slice. Okay. Is this just subslicing? It does look like it's subslicing. It is subslicing. Okay. Metadata extractor. Good morning from Japan. Good afternoon from the East Coast or Eastern time zone. Thanks for joining us, Kyle. I unfortunately do have bad news. I don't know if I'll be streaming too much longer, but you're more than welcome to hang out for the bit that we are here. In fact, I would even appreciate your company. Okay, so this returns a new slice. So this will be, I don't know, trimmed. And what we probably want to use is, I don't like the name trimmed actually. So trimmed user agent. Let's just use the full name. Trimmed user agent. Okay. We still need to fix this leak. So we are trimming spaces, which is good. I just realized that that might be an issue. Otherwise, we'd have a bunch of extra spaces here at the end. And that's unnecessary. But we do still have a gosh darn leak. So I've got a couple options. I essentially need to... Okay, we have an initialization chain, which might be part of our issue here. So what we have going on is our metadata extractor is creating this user agent as part of its initialization. And then in doing so, it's passing it on to this open library client, which really quick, just let me add a comma there for better formatting. So we need to hold on to this user agent and then clean up whenever we are finished. The other option would be to pass ownership of this to the open library user agent piece here. But I don't think we have a DNet for this yet, and I don't necessarily know if we need one. The other option would be to bring the... Really? To bring the user agent up a level, which also I don't know if that's necessarily going to fix our problem, but I'd like to take a look at it because it might be the best solution. So we need to pull it up to the scanner and the model here. And again, it's part of the init for the scanner. Uh, okay, let's just do something hacky. Let's get it working, and then we can always come back and clean it up later. Sure. Uh, I have this synthwave playlist, and I have no idea what's actually on it, but I am enjoying it quite a bit. Okay, so we need to deinitialize here. So really all we need to do in this case is take in the same allocator and then do an allocator.free on our user agent. Void. And this will be self.userAgent. Yeah, I'm getting tired. Okay, cool. So we have our metadata extractor. Now, anywhere that we init, we need to de-init as well. So let's just defer extractor.deinit, testing.allocator. Just going to go ahead and yank this line because we're going to use it quite a bit. Yep, there's one. There's one. There's one. There's one. Okay, cool. That looks good. And then hop back up here, go to definition, go to references. Where do we have these not in tests? So right here's one. Excuse me. Okay. And then somewhere else, we've got the same issue right here. Metadata extractor, deinit, allocator. Ooh. That doesn't make a lot of sense. We'd be allocating the space and then immediately freeing it. Oh Lord. Okay, that hmm. What a tangled web we weave. Okay, I don't like this idea. I've suddenly realized that this maybe is not the path that we should be taking. I do like the trimmed user agent stuff. I think we probably do still need that. So then the question becomes, where does this string belong? This is built with the build version and the config. So, okay, simplest thought would be we take all of this and we just move it to the config. So part of initializing the config is instead of giving that user agent suffix, we go ahead and allocate the whole thing. Issue here is now we need to take in an allocator. We're already doing that for loading the config. We also don't have access to the build version here, so we'll need to import build, which is going to be import build.zig.zon. And then we do have access to the user agent suffix. So in our case, if it's empty, we don't want any of that. Actually, I'm a little overzealous here. We can just remove all of this because this is the empty config. So let's change this from user agent suffix to just user agent. And we'll just have the entire user agent be stored in the config. So we do get access to the user agent suffix, which is great. That's totally fine. And then we just want to do the entire user agent, which I think I just had in buffer and then just threw it out. So please. What file was that? Metadata extractor, maybe? Yeah. Let's yank those lines, hop back over to config, come down here, we'll paste those lines. We have our user agent. Okay, so we have this. We're a lock printing based off of the user agent suffix, which means that we can also just go ahead and defer allocator.free user agent suffix because we're copying that memory, or we're cloning that memory, I guess, which gives us our user agent. So then if we hop down here and we change this from user agent suffix to just user agent, and then go up here and change this to user agent, come down here. Oh, we added that. We weren't even freeing it as well. So allocator.free self.useragent. Okay, simple, clean, simplest solution, I guess. Metadata extractor doesn't need any of this anymore. The trimmed version's kind of interesting. But I think instead what we do is we do the trimming in this right here. Okay. Feels better. Yeah, probably broke a bunch of stuff, didn't we? Config user agent. Expected, found, optional. I don't think we want the user agent to be optional, right? So let's see, config user agent. Yeah, we do have it optional. It's no longer optional. Congratulations. You've been promoted. Give it another run. Test passed. Not a single leak. I'm shocked, to be honest. But cool. I'm here for it. Do we still build properly? No, we don't. Okay. That makes me feel a little better. I was a little concerned. Two things. Access of union field pointer while field optional is active. Okay, that makes sense. Kind of a pain, but we'll deal with it. Looks like config 32. Okay, yeah, I see. If How to defer if user agent suffix allocator.free suffix. Okay. Feeling better about that. Let's give it a run. We still should have one more error, right? Oh, did I not fix that? Let me run it again. The Zig build stuff has been caching pretty aggressively. No, okay, I guess I didn't fix it. Config.zig 32. I didn't save. Oh my gosh. Kyle said that I've noticed you've been exploring several programming languages lately. Is Zig still your priority language? Yes, I think so. I've always been someone who's enjoyed exploring languages. To be completely honest, I have been doing that for a while, and I thought, why don't I make some videos out of like first impressions? Partially because I'm starting to feel like I'm running out of Zig content to produce. Like I want to make sure I'm producing something that's good, not just like slop that's thrown together. And yeah, so I was like, well, let's take some other stuff that's in the vein of programming that might be adjacent that I'm kind of interested in and doing first impressions. Zig is still, let me caveat this by saying one thing. I don't write Zig for work. I work, 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, uh, give or take. Uh, and for work, I'm mostly writing Go and some TypeScript. So I don't write Zig professionally. It's all for open source and hobby type stuff. Um, Most of this stream has been Zig, if that answers your question. I also just enjoy, like, if I wasn't looking for other languages, I wouldn't have found Zig. So I'm going to continue looking because Zig's not the perfect language for me. It's a great language and it enables me to do a lot of stuff that I would not be doing without it. But I don't know if there will ever be a perfect language for me unless I build one myself. So the idea is that I really just want to keep exploring those languages in case I find something that is a better fit. And to be honest, I found Gleam a week or two ago and have basically been nonstop writing Gleam up until this stream. So I don't know. Gleam's a really interesting language that has my attention as well. But yeah, is Zig still my priority? Yeah, I would say so. I expect a lot when 016 drops, and then to be honest, expect me to give you not necessarily an ultimatum that sounds intense, but more direction on whether I will be spending much more time with Zig in 06, after 016 drops. Which, speaking of drops, there goes a headphone. Jake, I'm so glad you joined us. Thanks. It's definitely fun being a polyglot. I feel like I learned a lot by branching out into different languages. Yeah, I'll echo that completely. I don't write Clojure. I haven't written Clojure in 10 years at this point, but I still write code as if I write Clojure. Like thinking about a mutable first, trying to break things down into small functions that are composable, all of that type of stuff. So I'm right there with you. I think I've had people be like, "Why would I learn Zig when I can't find a job in it?" And it's like, well, okay, if that's your goal, then yeah, maybe Zig's not the right choice if you're struggling to find work. But if you have found work and you maybe enjoy the craft of programming, uh, it's an excellent language to teach you more about computers and how they actually work and think about memory management and things that, to be honest, I often don't think about. And I feel like make me a smarter developer, a better developer because I have exposure to those things, even if I'm in a higher level language where I don't have control over them. I can be more mindful about allocations, even when the language doesn't let me explicitly allocate or deallocate. What would I call my language? I have no idea. English, French. Those would be your best answers at this point. Um, I like MLs a lot. I like F sharp. I like OCaml. The tooling around both of those kind of is suboptimal, and F sharp is constantly cannibalized by C sharp and just feels like a testing grounds for features for C sharp. So it makes me a little hesitant to invest a ton into F sharp. Plus, being very Microsoft heavy is not really the platform I want to target. O'Campbell's tooling is just it's getting better, but it's been a pain. So that kind of pushes me away from that. So Gleam being an ML with like modern tooling and honestly, it's on the Beam, which I think is a fantastic platform. So I don't know. Gleam has a lot of promise for maybe being closer to what I would be my language. The simplicity of Go is always something I've really enjoyed. I like Go a lot. I think Go is a terrible thing to make content for though, because it's not interesting. Like Go is intentionally in a disinteresting language, and two things. If I'm making content, I'd like for the content to be interesting, but also if I'm programming in my spare time, I want to be interested in the stuff that I'm programming. And I feel like Go is just such a good language for business applications because it's predictable, it's fast. There's a screensaver. Um, it's predictable, it's fast. It's just good. It's a good language. But it's not interesting, and I think it's good because it's not interesting. If that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. Zig's great. Zig lets me get really low level. If I had to be this low level for anything like microcontrollers or anything similar, I wouldn't want C. I don't think I would want Rust. So Zig fits like a pretty happy spot for me there. And Jake, you've been lurking for a while. I love to hear that. Always enjoy your presence. Let's fix this. Let's wrap this up, fix a couple things, and then I need to take a break. So we'll fix the stuff first and then we'll end up calling it there, I think. But yeah, we still have a little ways to go. So books model.zig, no dinit and metadata extractor. Yeah, okay. Source modules, books. Wait. What am I doing? Books. What am I doing? Books model. Okay, books model. Yeah, that no longer exists. Was that it? That was it. Okay, well, that's a little lackluster. Um, I'm going to commit all this stuff and let CI build it out, and then we'll see how things go. So this is a feature. So feat customizable user agent with regards to open library. I'm, to be completely honest, a little shocked that after all that work, that's only been 178 insertions and 119 deletions. I feel like we've been working on this for a while. Let's see if that is kicking off. Maybe. Okay, perfect. Actions have started. Release stuff is going through. Let this run for a second. And then I'm also going to take a sip of my tea. Sorry, I was talking with my mic on mute. We've been going for 3 hours now, which is quite a bit. Quite a bit for me, at least. Okay, semantic release stuff is running, which is good to see. I guess I don't really need to watch this run. I'm sure it'll run fine. But while this is running, I'm just going to go ahead and SSH into Brad Lab. I need to I need to run some updates on this. Also, memory usage is 55%. That's a little higher than I was expecting. Excuse me. Makes me wonder if I have more memory leaks than I thought. I also am running a couple different applications. No, that's probably fair. We're running Plex, we're running a Pal World server, we're running Dust. Actually, I have to imagine Dust is probably pretty kind. System CTL, let me actually type properly. Okay, system CTL status Dust. Dust service, Dust server. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Dust is using 126 megs of memory. It's pretty good. Peak 700. It's interesting. This is still honestly probably a little higher than I would have expected. So might want to look into this, but it's definitely not the cause of my memory issues, at least. I'm also, one thing I'm really excited about with 016 when Zig comes out is moving over the background processing to async. So I'm really excited for that. I think that'll be a fun experiment, and I'll probably do a full video on that at that point because it seems like a good thing to do. So yeah, let's see. Dust, we're good. I'm just gonna grab my Ubuntu. Am I not? Is the page broken? The page was broken. Interesting. Grab my quick start for Ubuntu. Paste this here. Yep, that's fine. Run it. Update our little Dust version right quick. Yep, 070. Yes, please. And this little script just installs Dust. And in our case, since it's already installed, it's just updating Dust for us. So now we can sudo systemctl status Dust server, and we should see that it just started 13 seconds ago. It's using 7.1 megs of memory. Yeah. Conversely, not that we can actually see anything visually from our changes since it's all background stuff for the server, but we should be able to see that we're still able to connect to the server and still able to get access to all of our books and all of that fun stuff. And then just to make sure, I don't see anything suspicious in our logs, but I figured I would just check one more time. And then we can also check journal CTL. I never remember the command for this. Let's just do journal history. Grep journal. Perfect. We'll just grab this one. Some logs. Everything looks good. Scan completed. That's 2038. So that was just a minute ago. So, okay. Looks like it finished scanning. Got a new cover. That's exciting. Okay, cool. So I think we're up and running. You got it. What did I get? Sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Also, I don't have a cover for this, and I'd like to fix this. So I'm just going to go ahead and walk through what this could look like, just as a random aside. So We'll grab this one. Oh, I sent the journal command, but the delay meant you found it on your own. Yeah. Also, I don't see the journal command in the chat. You might have got auto modded out for it being like risky code or something. I don't know. Just something to be aware of. It doesn't look like that got through. No, I don't want free access to that book. I already have access to the book. Open library. No? Sure. Sign in with the Goog. Okay. So intelligence driven incident response. Show me the book. Oh. How 2022. View two editions. Ah, they don't have the cover for the second one. So let's add that. So we can paste this, paste, upload. Did I grab a low? This is pretty low, isn't it? Yeah, let me get a higher res image. What you got for me, Thrift Books? That is not the right version. That's also tiny. Might just have to deal with a tiny image. You can filter Google image for quality. Really? How do I do that? Is that tools? Size, large. Ooh, Walmart coming in clutch? Shocked. And that's also the wrong image. All right, Abe, what do you got in your books? Yeah, okay. Sure. This is at least slightly higher quality than the one that we just uploaded. Okay, cool. That's been saved. So in theory, I should be able to come back to Dust and then refresh this metadata, and we should see, yes, good. And then now it shows up here as well. So at some point, I need to go through and add images for all these books, but I really like the fact that it's an opportunity to give back to Open Library with some of the stuff as well. So maybe let's just grab another one really quick. Exploring Arduino by Jeremy Blum. Images, Jeremy Blum. Size. I did not know about the size filter. It kind of makes sense that it would just be there now that you mention it, but thank you for pointing that out. That is the image, but this one looks much higher quality. But it's not. Why not save the cover image from the book? You are way too smart. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Are you doing the heavy lifting for PDF books on the client or the server? It depends on what you mean by the heavy lifting. Most of the we're just serving the PDF content on the server. So the client is receiving it and doing all the interesting tidbits to it. One of the things I really like to do is make them streamable. So there's web formatted or web optimized PDFs that are streamable. I also thought about processing the PDF into HTML files and then serving them directly via HTML files. I have no idea where that'll end up going, to be completely honest with you. We'll probably do something at some point because the whole point is to make it streamable. and I would like for them to be streamable. But yeah, I don't know. Currently, it's all the heavy lifting is handled by the client. Oh, this is a bit of a pain. Okay. Exploring Arduino tools and techniques for engineering wizardry. So I need the ISBN if we're going to actually match that. 360. Do we have an ISBN for this one? This is not the correct one, right? That is not the correct one. What about this one? 306. Can we search by ISBN? 978 1118 549360. You ask because you have a ton of ebooks in PDF format, want to rip them apart and do something with what you're doing, and voila, you're doing it. That's what prompted my question. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in the same boat. So, like, this isn't all of my ebooks. I still have some that I need to get added to that server. But I have so many of these books that I had purchased through Humble Bundle or other means, and they've just been sitting. And I don't want to let them sit. I actually want to read them, but the experience reading them on my computer has not been great. I'd like for them to be available on mobile. The experience reading them on Google Drive is awful. So I just decided to build something. So yeah, that was the idea. This runs on my home lab server. It's connected to all my devices via Tailscale, so I have access to it wherever I go on whatever device I'm connected on, which works out perfect for me. A little confused with the metadata here. I feel like this should have an image given everything. I don't know. Maybe that's not a good one to spend time on. We'll come back to it. This one, though, web development with Django. Hot Harvey, welcome back. It's good to see you again. Thank you for asking or hoping that I am well. I'm glad that you're working through the Space Invaders course, and I'm glad that you're having fun with it. Yeah, I'm just tired of web development courses, so I wanted to give something that other people may be interested in that are a little above and beyond just building a web server in Zig. Second edition, web development with Django. Also, Kyle, one thing I do like about this project a lot too is that it has given me the opportunity to contribute data back to Open Library, which is a Internet Archive piece of software that I really do appreciate. Second edition. So I have presumably an old version of this, but that's okay. Details, ISBN 13779. Let's take a look. No, not 779. So this one then? No, 127. That's not it, right? 127. 0603 is what I'm looking for. All right, let's just type it in. 978 180 323 0603. Really? Why Okay. Interesting moment to debug. Let's just force a refresh. Okay. Nothing to debug there. That was a user error, I guess. All right. Applying math with Python. We'll do one more and then we will call it, which gives people applying math with Python. Gives people an opportunity to leave of their own accord and not me just cancel the stream on them because I'm sure this is not the most engaging piece of anything. We have an ISBN. Really wish it was easier to copy that. So this one's 978 183 898 975 0. First published July 2020. Nothing about second edition, copyright 2020. Okay, this is the right one, I believe. Perfect. Yeah, that upload image idea was a great choice, Tambo. Thank you. Refresh. Boom, there it is. Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I need to spend some time and actually just flesh out the rest of these, both for my own sake and then for everyone else too. But I think this is probably a good spot to call it. We've been going on for 3.5 hours. Which, yeah, hopefully this was an enjoyable time. You hadn't heard of Open Library until I had mentioned it. Yeah, check it out. It's an Internet Archive project. It's really, really nice. They have a JSON API available too, which is what I'm actually using. But if you just want to like query data about books and things of that information, Open Library is a really great source, and it's a wiki style, so you can contribute your own contributions to the library, edits, things of that nature. They import a lot using an import bot, but they also don't get a lot of information or covers or things of that nature from their import bot. So you can kind of see um, the history of all this. So import bot imported from promise item. I don't know what that is, but you know what? Probably shouldn't open random Internet Archive links on stream. But yeah, they import stuff like that and are often missing things like covers or descriptions and things of that nature. So if you get a chance and you want to edit and add that information, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm sure the world would appreciate it. Okay, we're gonna shut her down. So yeah, thanks for taking the time to tune in, and I really appreciate the conversations we had. A lot of fun working on some Svelte stuff, and then jumping into some Zig stuff. You have the cave you fear holds the treasure you seek. It's one of my favorite shirts. I love that message. Yes, yes, it is, Harvey. Besides both of us being hot, we have other things in common. So it's great to see. All right. I'm getting out of here. I need to go eat. So thank you so much and have a good one.